Our first speaker is a graduate from the University of the Philippines, Manila, College of Public Health of the Bachelor of Science in Public Health, cum laude. He finished his master's in Pharmaceutical Studies or Environmental Health at the Osaka University, Japan. He was a research fellow at the Research Institute for Microbial Diseases at Osaka University from 2003 to 2004. He finished his PhD in Human Sciences, major in International Health, at the said university in 2010. He is also a former associate professor from the Division of Biological Sciences, University of the Philippines, Visayas. And currently, he is a visiting professor of Osaka University. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a hand of applause for our first speaker, Professor Calvin Delos Reyes.
Thank you very much, everyone. I guess some of you are already familiar with me since I've been your professor, now your former professor. It's sort of hearing that I'm already what did I say earlier? Former associate professor boss of UP Visayas, kinda may kurot pa pala, no? Yeah, it's a pity. But anyhow, we will be talking about that. That's part of my journey. I don't know if some of you already saw my presentation from before, from last year, but I'm hoping that somehow I would be able to give you more cliches about my personal journey when it comes to finding my flame. Let me start off with my presentation. It's more like a, kwento lang, no? Makipagkwentuhan lang ako sa inyo. So talagang may title, tsaka ano. Please bear with me, I have lots of photos to show naman. Yan, i-move lang siguro natin ng onti yung projector. Thank you, Adrian. Please feel free to interrupt anytime pag di kayo naniniwala sa sinasabi ko. No? Okay, we start off na. So, igniting the flame, no? It all started, next slide please, Adrian. I don't know if you could appreciate the photos. I was born in 1980. I'm turning 37 this year. My father is an OFW, classic during the 90s and 2000. He's an engineer and my mother is a stay-at-home wife, housewife. I'm the eldest in the family, so as you can see there. Medyo skinny pa ako nun, no? And I became a resident of San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. So Bulacanyo talaga ako po, no? I attained my elementary schooling at Francisco's Learning Academy and eventually Quezon City Science High School. Why am I mentioning this? Next slide, please. It's because this is where I found in Quezon City Science High School, or in high school, this is where I found the flame. I enjoyed a life of research. I know some of you are also graduates of Philippine Science or other science schools, no? Somehow, because of research, I got this certain fascination or curiosity with the research process, no? As you can see here, no, classic, meron kayong, how would I say, special problem, etc. And I'm over there, again, the skinny guy in the middle. And the other person on your right is actually one of my first inspirations. She's my teacher in research, Professor Carmona. No, Ma'am Carmona rather, Professor. Next slide. Yan. And because of my love in research, actually I became a president of the research club. So I was so geeky in high school. No? Next slide. And as any student, when you're attending high school, no, nahuhuli na yata yan. Paki-ulit. Nagkaka-technical problems tayo sandali. Yeah. As any student naman sa high school, you're planning what you're going to do next in college, no? Yeah. Okay na? Yeah. So I was wondering, that was my high school picture. So meron na bang violent reactions? Sir, kayo ba talaga yan? No? That was in 1996. I realized I was actually very good in biology and chemistry. So with that, no, especially with research related to biology, I realized I think I want to be a doctor. Why did I decide to become a doctor, no? Kasi, for one, I learned from friends that medicine is a, what? You continually study. You continually learn. No? You don't really stop learning, which I enjoy doing. What should I do or what should I take in order for me to become a doctor? I was thinking the best course is public health. No? So there you go. And this is our class in UP Manila. No? I miss wearing white, the same with the other guys here. No? And with public health, next slide, you know, we have several fields in public health. We have microbiology, parasitology, nutrition, health education, and community immersion. I enjoyed research, but I really don't know which field I really enjoyed. No, I'm always curious. What I noticed is that, I guess with some of the fourth years na ngayon, na BS Public Health students, they would share the same sentiment. What I enjoyed is community immersion. And the community immersion that we did was among mothers in a rural community in Cavite, no? And we entitled our project as Okay Inay, no? Operasyon, konsultasyon, immunisasyon, at nutrisyon, ayos yon. Little did I know that my interaction with mothers and their children somehow would influence my future as a public health specialist and advocate. Next slide. What did I learn up to that point of my life, no? Pay attention to your parents. I forgot to mention, no, my mom was very strict with school. No? She would always tell us how difficult it was for her to finish college. She didn't finish college at all. No? The mentors and friends that are surrounding you have a large say of what your career path would be. When I was in high school, about 30% of us actually proceeded to public health. No? So naka-impluwensya yun sa akin, in a way. And it will be helpful for you to decide which niche or which field you're going to in the future. And also in college, like what you are doing right now, at times ACADS is not enough. So you have to keep the fire burning with other activities. No? So hopefully you will be doing the same with the remaining, I don't know, months or years that you will be here in the university. So this is me when I graduated the BS Public Health program. No, meron pang is me, no? May bunks, etc. Next slide. So when I finished the BS Public Health, diba? Itigil mo. So after BS Public Health, what did I do? Proceed to medicine. But little did I know, next slide please. When I went to medicine, everything seemed to be perfect. When I came in, I was one of the students who were, lucky enough to get into UP Medicine. And some of you would know that it's kind of tough to get into, right? I was a Jose Moreno scholarship. Who is Jose Moreno? He's actually Pitoy Moreno, the fashion designer. No? So may pabarong siya sa amin, etc. And I was also a UP College of Medicine alumni scholarship. But somehow, in my first year of medicine, I felt lost. Later on, I realized that was not, me being in med school was not actually the fire that I wanted for myself. So, the flame almost extinguished. Next slide. I applied for a leave of absence, and it was one of the lowest points of my life. Okay pa ba tayo sa time? Anyway. So, I became a consultant for the DOH and a research assistant in UP Manila. Next slide. And with that, with some of my bio students, siguro they would know. The lady in red is actually the national scientist Veronica Chan. She's one of the researchers, yung mga known individuals when it comes to dengue research. Because of my leave of absence, I was able to work with her. The other lady in white is actually Professor Alma Alice Bungay, another known veterinarian and mycologist in UP Manila, and is a Fulbright scholar herself. And with the opportunity of working with them, I was able to publish some papers. Next slide. I realized there are other things aside medicine, na parang kahit na anong focus mo with med school or ano man yung dreams mo from you were younger, apparently there's something else for you. So what did I learn from this experience? You never lose faith. You follow your heart's desires. You learn from your mentor's personal experiences, like these professors that I presented earlier and be open to possibilities and opportunities. Next slide. If I'm not pursuing med school, what's next? I decided to apply for Japan, you know, for a scholarship. So I became a Mumbushu scholar because of my research experience with UP Manila. Next slide. And luckily, I was able to work with Professor Honda, or Honda Sensei. For some of the public health students who are studying microbiology, they would know that one of the more deadlier E. coli was actually discovered by Professor Honda. You know, so I was working with one of the best in the field. Next slide. I was able to finish my degree in microbiology. Next slide. With some of the state-of-the-art facilities, no? And, you know, next slide. Next slide. Next slide. And I was able to publish a paper on this as well. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. As you can see here, this is one of my proudest moments in my career, you know, having a master's degree in microbiology, especially in Osaka University. Next slide. So I was invited to give some talks, typical, etc. Next slide. The paper got published, as I mentioned earlier. Next slide. But I wondered, ano ba talagang gusto kong gawin sa buhay ko? You know, is this really the path that I wanted for myself? Next slide. I realized that once you go to a certain field, at times, there are overwhelming opportunities. Being a public health graduate, you know, as you have seen earlier, you could be a microbiologist, nutritionist, etc. No? But is that really what I wanted for myself? No? I learned to reassess my personal and professional goals. Next slide. So it was the spring of 2006 that I realized that I want to come back to the community immersion program. Next slide. So I worked with Professor Nakamura. Next slide. So I stayed with them in the Graduate School of Human Sciences to learn and, well, at least to learn a little about international health. Next slide. So this is the very reason why I'm enjoying public health. My PhD paper is on indigenous people's health and maternal and child health. Alam nyo, I'm like a typical Manileño na trained sa Japan, na my first time in the community, you know, yung tatawid ka lang sa anong tawag nito, sa mga mangroves, etc. And then makikita mo sila na nagnanganga, and then dudura sila, and then you can even see the red ng dura nila na kumakalat kalapit sa'yo when you're walking sa no? All of a sudden, you feel like, teka, what's happening with me, no? You're changing. You're becoming a part of the community, that it's okay, na ito yung practice nila eventually. Next slide. In this community, I learned to really be part of the community, to adjust with them, and, well, to really interact with them. So may aspect siya na medical anthropology in a way. Next slide. Next slide. I learned to actually talk with the community, to speak their language. Next slide. And because of that, I was able to finish a paper on indigenous people's health and the maternal and child health handbook. Next slide. There you go. So what did I do? No? It was a first in the Philippines to actually develop a handbook directed among indigenous peoples. That's one of the movements, especially during those times in 2000, 2006, 2007, no? Promoting maternal and child health in these rural communities. Next slide. So I get to meet all of the mothers in the community and promote basic public health to them. The challenge was, before, these mothers are not aware as to how to take care of themselves, and more so with their children. Alam nyo, when I first visited the community, the mothers even have a tendency of running away to the mountains, you know, hiding from me, you know, hiding from, you know, yung mga hindi locals no, sa community, because they were so afraid that we would be providing them what? Yung injection, vaccination. Because their basic concept is that, you know, may dumarating na doktor para saktan yung mga anak namin. How sad is that? You know? Because of lack of awareness on the positive effects of vaccination and immunization, all of a sudden they're running away from us. And because of this handbook, yung simpleng health education material, later on, 3 years later, ngayon, pumipila na sila whenever a doctor comes. So that's a positive change that somehow our project was able to provide in the community. Next slide. Yeah, so we finished the presentations, etc. I would be running through the slides. Next, please. Yeah, so when I finished my PhD, well, of course, it's one of the proudest moments for myself and for my mom. But 6 months later, she passed away. She passed away from cancer, And every time my mom would always tell us, as long as you graduate school, pwede na ako mamatay. Why am I sharing this to you? Because it's at times, yun lang yung joy ng parents mo eh. And you can never really appreciate that until the person is actually gone. Next slide. Yan. Eventually, of course, awards follows. Next slide. Yung katabi ko, mas gwapo ako, si Alfred Vargas. I don't know if I'm proud to be an awardee with Alfred Vargas, but Luchi Cruz Valdez was also an awardee during that time as outstanding Bulakenyo. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So there is, of course, joy in serving others, especially the marginalized, And you have to dedicate your achievements to your inspiration. May it be your mom, your dad, your brothers, your sister, even your significant other. I had a significant other when I was finishing my PhD. Unfortunately, nakasulat na siya sa aking thesis. Nung natapos na yung thesis, hindi ko na siya significant other. So, andun na siya forever. If you love what you do, nothing is hard. Okay, I have a minute left. Next slide. So what happened after PhD? Well, I taught in Osaka University for 5 years. Next slide. And with that, tuloy-tuloy na natin, I was able to travel. I never imagined I would be traveling to about 50 countries up to the age of 37. I went to Cambodia, to Bangladesh, to Hawaii, to Kenya especially, etc. I was able to run after giraffes, to Laos, etc. But after Japan, what's next? Of course, I came here. There's Mom Tayo, etc. But little did I know, next slide, that I would be finishing my term until December of this year. And one of the moments that I really appreciate and enjoy, especially at this moment, is you guys, the Catalyst Group, my students, my former students, my Unilev team, that I'm still moved, of the passion. And somehow this also allows me to check the flame that I have. And perhaps that's another reason why I wanted to leave again, Kasi naiingit ako sa inyo, marami pa kayong magagawa eh, So I wanted to do that for myself as well. Next slide. So, what did I learn? You value your family and friends, be open to possibilities, and there's no straight path to where you are. Life is a constant adventure, live it to the fullest. Let me end my presentation. Huwag na yan, toxic. Sige, next slide. Yeah, with this. This is my favorite line. Life is only worth a damn because it's short, it's designed to be consumed, used, spent, lived, felt. We're supposed to fill it with every mistake and miracle we can manage, and then we're supposed to let go. The reason why I'm giving you this again, because unfortunately in November of last year, my father followed my mom. And perhaps that's another reason why I wanted to spread my wings further on from UP Visayas. And for all we know, baka magkaroon na ng time, bumalik and actually teach. What's next for me? People kept on wondering. Well, there's Africa, there's Mongolia, hopefully by March. And let me end with this. Find your fire, Ignite it and keep it burning. It may not be at its brightest at times, like with me, nagdim, lumiliwanag, nagdidim, but never allow it to get extinguished. It's a pleasure. Good evening, everyone.